What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about the complete car history of the Toyota Matrix, which ran from 2003 to 2013. So a quick overview of this car. It was built basically as a Toyota Corolla hatchback, using the same engine, transmission, and used the same Toyota MC platform and chassis, but for some reason Toyota wanted to give it its own name. The same car is also cruising around badged as the Pontiac Vibe, which lasted until 2010. That was because of a little joint venture Toyota had with GM. It was marketed as a cheap four-door hatchback that can transport both a fair amount of cargo and people. We can see also how in all these models, the back seats fold down all the way, revealing a plastic-like floor that you could load cargo without messing up the back of your seats. So that's a cool little feature about this car. Another thing is this car offered a manual transmission for all of its model years, which is something you don't see very often, especially today. The first generation of the Matrix ran from 2003 to 2008 and had 3 trims, the lower 2 being the Standard and the XR. These cars had a 1.8-liter 4-cylinder engine that put out around 130 horsepower, with some pretty impressive fuel economy numbers for the time. It had a 4-speed auto or a 5-speed manual, but if you wanted the all-wheel drive option, you had to go for the automatic. A lot of these cars are still around today and can go for anywhere between $3,000 to $6,000. They're going to have a lot of miles, but this car is known to have some pretty good reliability. The top trim for this generation was the XRS, which was only around until the 2006 model year. It had an upgraded engine, giving it 180 horsepower, but that number went down to 164 horsepower by 2006 because of emissions regulations. Despite having the same displacement as the other engine, its fuel economy was a lot lower than the lower trims. A positive, though, is that the manual option in the XRS had a 6-speed instead of the usual 5-speed. Toyota didn't offer an all-wheel drive in the XRS, even with the automatic, but that did help the car shed some weight, making its overall weight 2,800 pounds. Overall, the price of the XRS is not much different than the lower trims on the used market, still being around $3,000 to $6,000. The second gen ran from 2009 to 2013 and had 3 trim levels, with Standard being the lowest. The Standard trim had a similar 1.8-liter 4-cylinder engine that put out 132 horsepower through a choice of automatic and manual transmissions. This car continued to offer all-wheel drive with its automatic transmission. Surprisingly, in this generation, fuel economy was reduced along with interior space. You can find these models anywhere between $5,000 to $7,000 on the used market, but are a little harder to find than the first generation, as sales dipped after the 2009 model year. The upper 2 trims in the second generation were the S and the XRS, which both had a larger 2.4-liter 4-cylinder engine. But despite having more displacement than the previous XRS, it had 20 less horsepower. Also for the second generation, they dropped the 6-speed manual option, with only the standard 5-speed offered. One of the few positives about the second generation over the first is that they were the first to offer all-wheel drive with the XRS and S models. The XRS trim was canceled in 2011, but the S trim is pretty much the same car, with equal performance across both models. This car's fuel economy, though, is not at all that impressive for its size, with about 24 combined mpg. So what happened to the Matrix? It was canceled after the 2013 model year after steeply declining sales and was not replaced by another car in Toyota's lineup. Instead, Toyota sold other compact hatchbacks through its sister company, Scion. After Scion was dissolved, Toyota adopted the Toyota IM, which then became the Toyota Corolla hatchback, which is currently the closest replacement to the Matrix. Alright everybody, that's going to be it for us today. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, and don't forget to comment the car you want to see next.